espalda, como sensores que activan una alarma. En esta jungla nadie te salva, confía en nadie, tiene ojos en la espalda. Tienes que ver lo que ellos no ven, anda listo, porque no se sabe quién es quién. Ellos vienen por ti, esperando que estés solo, un descuido y te matan en un abrir y cerrar de ojos. Cada paso que des lo hagas en secreto. Si estás en movimiento, que parezca que estés quieto. Si estás llegando, que crean que te fuiste. Ojos en la espalda, ojos en la espalda.
Of courage, honor, and worms. War had cast a shadow over their once peaceful land. Gunfire filled the air as worm turned against worm. Where so many had fallen, others knew they must follow. For one such worm this day had already come. When he was 2, his father had left, never to return. 3 years he had waited for his chance to fight. 3 years of training, both day and night. And though he was scared as he set off for battle, he knew in his heart it was something he must do. 3 inches tall and armed to the teeth, a fine soldier he made, and his name was Boggy B. Many moons have passed since the worms went to war. Onwards and upwards, bigger weapons than before. Boggy B took cover, he shivered on patrol. The arms race crazy, simply way out of control. Then his friend threw it, the latest device. Boggy B went and got it, against all advice. His tail was split, and his energy lost. How many more will this dreaded war cost? Then came the nuke, and the disease tumbling down. If the bug didn't get you, you'd probably drown. But the worms battled on through hunger and pain, living to fight, just to victor again.
We are the robots. Existent on the memory, and the visual interface, feeling the beating something, and just since we play against, it's secret something in a way, sending all the fantasy perfect scene. My body's moving to the beat, your heart is burning the heat, my eyes in the chemistry, your soul is holding attention, and yet to see the perfect one, it's time to show. It's just the way that we like it. Companionship is wonderful. You learn it till it's all I know. It's time we play it as we are fucking friends. It's for the feel of the way coming to see
Tonight, my dear, I'll capture your heart. Tonight, my dear, we'll fly to bask in glory. Your eyes in my altar. resist. Don't be a martyr. If everything seems the perfect scenery, be quiet. We'll leave our lust take over our co-part. So long as you look my way, I'll be the star of your sweet dreams, one you'll always look at, your eyes upon me. I'm here to soothe all your nightmares, your beautiful soul
They didn't hear me say that. Let me try it again. Ah. This is Prime Cuts from the ManPF. I'm your host tonight, Evil Sonic. This is a very special Dwelling of Duels listening party. Joining me to it's my left. It's the ManPF and a frequent collaborator of that man, Zach Chapman. The man, Zach, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty great. I'm a little nervous, I'm a little excited, I'm a little bit of everything. I'm very grateful for all the 20 people, 19, 20.
Oh shit. Did we just lose the man?
Oh, did we?
The video cut out.
Yeah, we did.
He's probably freaking out right now.
PF, are you still here?
I can't hear him. Oh.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's out of
so
the call
Zach,
too.
take it away.
Well, oh, he just rejoined. I think he's back.
This is like the
There he is.
best moment for this to happen.
Oh, and he's gone again.
So Zach,
I'm really glad that this is happening here and didn't happen once during our test stream.
this is where you and I are going to work on our stand-up routine that we are coming up with right now.
All right.
So we are going to
me.
stall for time. So there's this vaudeville act. It's a family gig, and they go to this this producer and they say, "I think you're gonna love our show,"
Yeah.
and that's the Aristocrats.
I don't know what vaudeville is.
God, you're too young. Okay, the man's not hearing us. Let me try. Oh, I wonder. That's weird.
He sent a new link.
Yeah, but he sent it with weird stuff in front of it, so I have to try typing without that, and I think this is gonna work. All right, the man, you are visible.
Am I?
Yeah, hey, and you're audible.
Yeah, I had to rejoin, but we're back.
The
It's a great way to start, but
1994
we're here.
animated film produced by Steven Spielberg about dinosaurs. We're back.
I think Nate got it right. 20 people, fuck this. I'm not ready for this.
Wait, is 20 people too many or too few?
That's a lot. It's more than I expected.
It would be funny if you were like 20
But
people.
This is
Let me know when it's 50.
That's it?
This is something that I said right when my internet shit the bed, but I'm actually very grateful for everyone who is watching right now.
We're grateful for you.
Oh,
It's
wait, Waffles is in here.
the ManPF. I put you on a pedestal, rightfully, because I feel like your contributions in DoD have been incredible. Your enthusiasm, your participation. If we are in a golden era of DoD, you are one of the bricklayers of that golden foundation. To the pedestal. I have a few little fun facts. I'll sprinkle some of them out throughout the night. The ManPF, did you know that you have 146 submissions to DoD?
I didn't. The last time I checked, it was 143, but who's counting?
I am. And you've had 3 more since then. You have 1 gold, 4 silvers, and 3 bronzes, which is a total of 8 medals, which is pretty cool. You have the distinction
Yep.
of being one of a very few artists to get 2 of the same medal in 1 month. Do you remember
I
that
think it
month?
was a lot more impressive back then when it happened, it definitely was like a great thing. I think it happened a lot more after that, but still kind of comfortable.
Yeah, I think in the past year or two, and for the foreseeable, we're going to have more months with multiple competitions. But back in August of 2022, you got a silver for Free Month, and for the MagWest Dreamcast competition, we just heard those songs in the pre-show. The Legend of Boggy Bee, that was an extended alt that you did for MagFest, but your MagWest track was a little bit shorter, didn't have that delightful Welshman. And we also heard We Are the Robots, which had you and Zach, a few other people, and maybe a cat. Do you want to tell us about the cat?
Well, that was my cat, and she lives back with my parents, so I had to text my dad like the day before submissions were due and ask him to just follow my cat around getting recordings of her meowing. And he sent me like 20 of them, and I just sent them all to PF, and he picked out the best couple and added them to the song.
That's amazing.
I was happy about that. That's probably my best guest appearance in a song.
Because I'm good at hosting album release listening parties and I know how to hype stuff up, we're here to listen to Prime Cuts. I'm looking at this track list. I see some familiar titles. I know for a fact that there have been some remixes and remasters in there of DoD tracks. I think I'm also seeing a few tracks that I haven't heard before. Is there anything you'd like to talk about just as an intro, an entree, how do you do before we start listening to this party?
Okay, so to start with, this album is available on Bandcamp right now. Like I just posted it, so if you want, you can just go to the Bandcamp link and download it immediately. There's no charge for it. It's pay what you want. If you want to download it without giving anything, that's completely fine. You will get all 10 tracks immediately. You also get a little digital booklet that Naub has been working on, along with a lot of things he has been doing to help me with this. So a huge thanks to Naub. Huge shout out to him. And he made an introduction to the album. I think it's pretty fitting, and it's that if you're familiar with the VGM scene, you might have heard the term deep cut, which is basically like this piece of video game music that maybe not a lot of people know. It's not exactly popular, like this maybe obscure game or maybe obscure track in an otherwise known soundtrack. So we kind of came up with an alternate name for the types of video game music that more people will know, or they're either popular tracks in the scene or they come from popular games. In this case, I tried to compile all of 10 of the most popular games I covered in the past 4 years into this album. So this is why it's called Prime Cuts.
Very nice. The first one is a longie.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite.
The first one is it's a bit of a doozy. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to put it first, but Naub suggested that I should, because it's honestly the best a showcase of what I'm about. So if you listen to that, you will get an immediate idea of what I do. We'll get an idea of what the rest of the album is gonna be like. I will say the beginning of the first song is a little slow, so for anyone who doesn't know me, just bear with me, because it's gonna make sense.
Don't turn the volume too high, because the intro is very quiet.
Yeah.
The rest of the song.
Yeah.
I remember when that came on in the listening party, it was a 10-minute Wily theme track that's all lowercase, and it starts like this, and I'm like, I don't know what's about to happen, but I feel like we're gonna talk about it. And then once the mic dropped, this was after I had done the thing with Connor where he just pulled an amazing Wily arrangement out of his ass in like half an hour, and I was like, hey, did you polish that and make it a main without telling me? Because I listened to that and I was like, this is obviously like Tiberian Sun's level of quality.
No.
So, not to hype up this first track too much, but it literally sounds like the greatest song you've ever heard. Anything else we want to add before we start this? We've got the we've shared the Bandcamp link. I have that pinned. It's going to be pinned for the duration of the stream because the little computer guy asked me, when do you want this to go away? And I was like, never. So it's going to stay up there for a little bit. But I think if we're ready, we're going to turn off some cameras. We're going to turn up some jams. The man, would you like to tell us where to keep it?
Keep it right here because this is Prime Cut.
Cuts.
All right. You just heard Wily theme.
What?
Wily theme.
It's Wily theme. What else do you need to say about it? But well, what do you want to say
It's
about it?
just Wily. It's just Wily, man. Like everybody knows Wily already. What else there is to say?
That it was robbed and it should have gotten gold?
I try to avoid
I don't know.
too much of that because it sometimes it can come across as like the whoever did come ahead was less.
Yeah, no offense
Et
meant
cetera,
to
et cetera,
everyone who placed above it, but I just love that track
It's
so much.
so good. That was the month where I try to keep it all in check, like, the tracks placed where they do, but between that one and the one that we were on, the man and I, our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles mega collab with several other people. Did my video freeze?
No. Well, I don't know.
I think it did.
Oh yeah, it did.
I'm gonna try to fix that. So, what would you like to tell us about that Wily?
There's actually a lot to say about the song. I don't know if I'll be able to go over all of it today because it feels like if I do, I'm gonna be talking about it forever.
And that's
But-
not actually a problem. It's
It
a
is
Friday
because I
night.
want people to listen to the other songs.
Okay, that's fair.
And you did write a little document on the whole
Yeah.
construction of it, didn't you?
Yeah, back then I wrote a whole document about it because I think it's my biggest BGM project I've ever done. And the whole point is that for the people that aren't in the know, this song and this game, it's kind of like an icon in the VGM scene. In the video game scene and the VGM scene, it's like everybody knows Wily's Castle 1 from Mega Man 2. If you know me at all, you would know that I don't usually like go for the obvious sources. I don't usually pick like the popular songs. I try to go for like something not necessarily obscure, but something a little more untouched. So for this, I very purposefully grabbed a track that I felt was very iconic and tried to make it as absurd as I could possibly do it. And I wanted to like squeeze the song and get the most juice out of it that I could possibly get. And so I tried to have all of the musical influences I've ever had and just throw them at the wall. And my biggest challenge was like making the transition seamless. I wanted this to be a long song, but I want to like feel like a trip. Like you're starting in a place, but it slowly goes somewhere else, and then it goes somewhere else, and then it goes somewhere else. It doesn't feel like it's several songs back to back. While also being an arrangement of a single source, which is the difficult part. And also on top of that, it has 20 quotes to other popular games. That was just a fun thing that I wanted to do.
And
It's a bunch of stuff. And I was out of a job at the time, so I felt like it was like the perfect moment to just no-life it for a whole month. And it's also, to me, a sort of tribute, because by that point, I was participating in Dueling of Duels for around 2 years at least.
Yeah.
And it might not seem much, but those 2 years were incredible. And it gave me a lot of... I was able to progress a lot as a musician in a way that I wasn't able to in the 10 years before that. And it was all thanks to the community in Dueling of Duels and the BGM community as a whole. And I kind of wanted to like put that in a song, put all my influences there as a sort of way of tributing every single person in the community that has helped me reach the point I am now. That's basically the whole gist of Wily theme. Also, the reason the title is in lowercase and it starts with a shitty acoustic guitar in the intro that seems like it's a person that doesn't know how to play. Like, it's obviously a trick that was meant to catch people off guard at the time, because it's a competition and you don't know what's going on, you don't know who made the track, you don't know what is gonna happen, so it feels like the perfect, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Fake out.
Yeah, it's a fake out. But I do think it has more meaning beyond that. I think it still works in this album because one of my thoughts about it is that it feels like it's a person who's slowly progressing. It starts with a person playing acoustic guitar, like they don't know how to play it, but they slowly become better, and even the sound gets, like the sound quality gets a little better, and it's improving until it just blasts you in the face with everything else. And the way I imagine it is that when I started playing guitar, I love to just pick up the guitar and play whatever, and imagine that what I was playing was actually a lot better than it actually was. So to me, that whole song is like, this is what this person is thinking the song is in their mind, while they're just jamming to a shitty acoustic guitar. That's like my mental image of it.
And that lands so well just because of how it begins and also how it ends and how you tie it all back together. God,
yeah, I'm a fan of bookends.
That song, shit.
I love starting a song in a way and ending it in a way that ties everything up. Just a very useful recourse for music.
And
Yeah,
Zach,
I
you
listen
play
to
bass
PF
for it.
stuff semi-regularly, and that's probably the one that I listen to the most. I messaged him like a month ago, just out of the blue, just saying that might be my favorite instrumental piece just ever to listen to. And I'm biased, but it's so good.
I like what Nate is saying, because to me it also feels like it's a person that it's very ADHD and doesn't know what they want to do with Wiley's theme on a guitar, so they're just thinking of a bunch of different styles they can do, and that's why it keeps changing all the time. And it's also very representative of my catalog as a whole. If you know me, you would know that I do a lot of different things. And I feel like this arrangement works well in showing, like in compressing what I'm about in a single song. You're gonna hear a lot of different shit. It's gonna keep changing all the time. And if you enjoy listening to different stuff, if you're like me who gets bored easily, you're gonna enjoy my music, I hope.
So it's the Subway Surfers in a little video in music form.
It's pretty much Subway Surfers in VGM form.
So we've got these 9 other tracks that we're going to listen to tonight. But before we do that, I do have a special surprise. Zach might know what it is. The man doesn't know what it is.
What?
Let me think
What?
about how I do the technical stuff here. Let me turn off the music. But we've got a few messages from a few friends. So I'm going to turn off our microphones for a second. And every time I test this, I can't hear the audio, but I know it works. So people in the chat start screaming at me if there's no volume. Keep it right here, because TheManPF, this is your life.
So I just looked up what the term is for a male version of a mistress. You know, I wanted to describe what I am to you accurately, but it turns out that there isn't one. There's mistress, there's paramour, which is a gender-neutral version, but nothing for male specific, which is kind of shitty. And honestly, I feel a little excluded. Sorry, I forgot what I was saying. I assumed I would, so I took notes. Right. TheManPF. Happy late birthday. Again. You're cool, you're nice, you're cute, you're disgustingly talented. Making music with you, being your friend all these years has just been a gift, and I couldn't be happier for it. I love you. You're the best. The album is amazing, as is everything you do. Especially the bass on it, man. Whoever played that bass must be really cool and really talented. And honestly, they probably have a huge dick.
The man, the man, the man, PF. The man, the man, the man, PF. The man, the man, the man, PF. The man, the man, the man, PF.
Ba-da-ba-ba-na-na. 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 Working with the ManPF is challenging. I never know if whatever I send him is going to make him happy or if he's going to nitpick about the littlest of details. But I appreciate the challenge, and I'm also very grateful because he has been supportive and collaborative with me ever since I joined the DoD server. He has collaborated with my podcast, Mega Mixtape, and all of my crazy ideas that I come up with. So I congratulate you on your first album release, and it's been a pleasure working on this release with you.
Hola, el hombre PF, soy yo, un oso polar emputado. Feliz cumpleaños atrasado y gracias por todo. Me encanta trabajar contigo en la música y siempre me impresionan tus dotes de detective musical. Un abrazo.
What's it like working with TheManPF? Well, to start, he's one of the most creative arrangers I know. I never quite know what we're going to see with him next, but I know it's going to be a treat. He is extremely well organized. He gives you everything you could hope for, really, as a collaborator, including really extensive notes to help get the best performance out of everyone that he possibly can to meet with his vision. But mostly he's just a real delightful human being and a complete pleasure to work with. So congratulations on your album release, Mr. TheManPF.
Hey The Man, it's Ian Martin. I just wanted to thank you for having me on so many of your tracks, especially Ribeye Rodeo. That's still one of my favorite things I've ever been on for DoD. I'm really excited about the upcoming album release, so congrats on that, and happy late birthday.
Hey The Man, congratulations on the album release. I'm thrilled that I get to be part of it. I always enjoy collaborating with you, whether it's on your stuff, my stuff, whoever's stuff. Congrats, and I'm going to enjoy listening to it.
Colaborar con TheManPF ha sido una sorpresa para mí. Llevo escuchando su música mucho tiempo y por eso estoy agradecida de poder hacer una portada para uno de sus sencillos y también el que haya considerado mi trabajo para una de las portadas de Dueling of Duels. Te deseo el mejor de los éxitos para tu primer álbum.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Marawis. He colaborado con The Man en algunos proyectos, especialmente en el tema de ilustración, aunque también he colaborado también como escritora en algunas canciones. Creo que ninguna que haya salido en Dueling of Duels. Y también soy su esposa. Big shock, wow. Así que en ese sentido creo que puedo decir que colaborar con él, trabajar con él es una grata experiencia. Si no, ya se imaginan el problema que habría, ¿no? Pero no, sí, de hecho, diría que llevamos más de 10 años trabajando juntos en diversos proyectos, desde que éramos bien jóvenes. Y él siempre ha sido una persona muy grata de trabajar con él. Siempre ha sido, hasta eso, muy paciente. Creo que él no se considera tan paciente, pero sí es una persona bastante paciente. También en el sentido de que pues es directo con lo que quiere, ¿no? Pero si no se puede, por una cosa u otra, él es muy abierto a poder encontrar un punto medio. Siempre ha sido muy muy entendible, supongo que es la palabra, se me habrá ido. Trabajar con él siempre ha sido una experiencia muy linda. Y no lo digo nomás porque sea su esposa y lo ame, ¿no? Que si TheManPF, si estás escuchando esto, te amo. Te amo mucho. Pero sí me alegra mucho lo lejos que ha llegado, lo mucho que ha crecido en el aspecto tanto o sea, musical, profesional, personal. Estoy muy orgullosa de él, estoy muy orgullosa de lo lejos que ha llegado. Y espero que siga creciendo, espero que siga mejorando. Y espero estar ahí con él para apoyarlo y presenciar sus logros y compartirlos, ¿no? Estar ahí en los buenos momentos y en los malos, pues parte de matrimonio saludable.
Wow. I'm not crying, you're crying.
I have no words. I was already blown away by everything else. I swear, I was watching. I was thinking. By the way, I'm hearing myself.
Oh.
There we go. Okay. When I was watching it, I was actually thinking it would be really cool if my wife showed up here. I actually thought that. I did not at all expect her to actually show up. So if that was your idea, you're amazing.
Not me.
You're insane, but you're amazing.
I think
Was that Naup Take a Bow?
I know.
That was Nop's idea, right?
Yeah, probably Naup. Yeah, that was
Naup and Mansa.
that blew me away. I'm sorry.
Naup and Mansa were instrumental. You might notice that I wasn't in the video. I had an opportunity where I was asked, and I didn't have time. And everyone I said, I feel so bad I didn't get a chance to record a video, said, it's okay, you're hosting the stream. So I don't feel too bad. But I did.
If you have something to say, you can say it right now.
No, you gotta give me till the next break, because I didn't know. I didn't know how the video was gonna end. There's no way I can wing it right now. Like, give me a little bit to collect my thoughts. Because, well, honestly, I was already thinking, like, when I saw Jackie's Andromeda talking and saying her part, I was like, oh shit, I should have thought about how to talk about working with the man, because aside from the guy next to you, on the other side of you, I think you and I have collaborated a ton in DoD. I know that I haven't worked with you as much as Zach. I'm not going to try to step on those delightful toes. But it has been a pleasure and a treat, and I owe so much more to you than just for me to say, yeah, man, it's great working with TheManPF.
I am so grateful. I am touched, honestly, by what everybody said. I could even go into detail about what I loved about everybody's messages. There's been a few things that stood out to me, because there's this part where Naup is listening to my song and he's humming along, and that is such a small detail, but you have no idea how much that means. Like, to just know that there's somebody out there who's listening to my music and singing along, that to me means a lot. Even if it's staged for the video, I don't give a shit. I think it's a great detail. And Chris talking in Spanish also blew me away. I don't have any words. Like, having someone talk in my language means a lot to me as well.
Shit, I should have done that. Damn. He beat me.
I'm so glad Zach is here right now.
So yeah,
to just help.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I didn't expect any of this. I don't think I'm that big of a deal, but I appreciate the support of everybody.
I can say unequivocally that you are a big deal, that you are in fact the man.
Yeah.
Sorry, for a second I forgot that I accidentally used Jackie's actual pre-marriage name. She just admonished me privately. I'm sure she's angry at me for talking about it on the stream. Andromeda is typing. She's not actually. The man, does it surprise you that you're loved? Because it does not surprise me in the slightest. Just having... So, I mean, we started out together as DoD fans. Like, I know that you and I are both, like, you know, at the operations level now and running things, but 4 years ago, we were just two musicians, two guitarists, and I told you I was going to sprinkle in a few facts. You have had a habit of coming in one place ahead of me many times. You know about this, right?
I think so.
I went through and I counted. Did you know that you have had a track either as a primary or as a contributor where you came in one place ahead of me 10 times?
That's interesting. I did not know that.
So, the first time was your very first month in May 2021.
Yeah, I knew that.
Elephant in the Room came in 11th. Second time was you and what's his name over there? Imps Resolve, June 2021, VG Lead Sheets month, came in 4th.
The second month I entered.
Second month you entered. The first month of Zach Chapman.
That was before I even knew what Dwelling in Duels was.
Yeah. The man was just like, hey, record bass, and you're like, what? And hey, you're in 4th.
Sent it to him and then never heard of it again.
October 2021, we Lion Tamer wants some background music. I guess our sweet voices aren't enough. Here, I'll get you at that negative 30 decibels. December 2021, the MagFest free month. You came in 25th. I came in 26th. July 2022, Mitsuda month. October 2022. Okay, so I know that I had a gold medal track, but I was on the 4th place track when you came in 3rd place. Shout out to Ronan and Numa Joe. Came in 4th behind... What was it? It was Black Hole... I'm blanking on the name.
Into the Black Hole.
Into the Black Hole. Yes, Naup, I'm counting them all. January 2023, that was a brevity month. You and Daniel Catone came in ahead of You came in ahead of 1 Minute Angel, which you were almost on before we realized that would have been 3 mains, and you had to back out.
Yeah.
I kept your vocals in the mix, though, because I just needed to fill out the sound. September 2023, I'm counting this one even though I shouldn't. The 20th anniversary, your Smash Bros. Track came in 4th. I was one of several people who contributed sounds to Pud's Bike Kid Part 2.
That one's a surprise. I completely forgot about that.
October 2023, that was the horror month. Your track came in 5th, and that was in front of the DoD Public Radio. And finally, April 2024, the Pictionary Tornado of Solos. Your tornado came in one place ahead of Jim. So, congrats, TheManPF, not only for everything you've done in DoD, but also for coming in ahead of me by one place 10 times.
You're welcome. That's how you get motivated.
This is how you get good.
You need a little bit of a rivalry.
I remember when it first happened, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Little did I know.
Yeah.
Little did I know. So
I'm just a man, dude.
We're an hour into this album release listening party, so obviously we've heard one song from the album. I think this is a good opportunity for me to stop talking and hogging the mic and turning it over to Prime Cuts from TheManPF and some of his friends. Zach, do you want to do a Keep It Right Here?
Keep It Right Here on TheManPF's first album, Prime Cuts. Cuts.
Yeah.
All right. You just heard Imp's Resolve featuring That Man and Zach Chapman, and GFS Jukebox featuring The Man, Zach Chapman, and Numa Joe. I'm Evil Sonic. With me are TheManPF and Zachary Chapman. We are here for TheManPF's album release of Prime Cuts. What do you guys want to say?
I haven't had a chance to talk a lot about my collaborators yet. So if you've been following the stream, I think you might have noticed that it's not only me, I also have another guy right next to me. And I very purposefully decided to bring him over here with me because I think he's a very integral part, not only of the album, because he's playing the bass in all of the 10 tracks. It's also an integral part of pretty much everything I do. He plays bass in every song I do, and sometimes even more than that. And I do want to give him the spotlight because I think he absolutely deserves it. He's the best collaborator I've had. He's someone that I can collab every time I want. I just send him, hey, I'm doing this shit. And he will get me a stem like in the day. He's that efficient, and his playing is incredible. And yeah, it means so much to have him here with me. And I don't know if Zach wants to say something, but
well, I already said the basics back in the message earlier, but it's like I told Nap in the little thing he's writing for it, I wouldn't even be in DoD or probably be playing music at all anymore if you hadn't started inviting me to do these. So I'm just happy that you did. I'm always happy to collab with anyone, but especially you, and especially because the music is so good too.
So for these two songs, well, most of the album is gonna be songs I've done for Dueling of Duels. And these two tracks in particular, the Metroid track is one that I did for Metroid Month specifically. And I never played a Metroid game before. I think I played like a little bit of Metroid Prime 3 at some point, but I played so little of it that I don't remember anything. And because I'm like that, I just tried to look for a track that I thought was a little more, I don't know if obscure is the word, but a little more untouched. And I came up with Whatever Happened with GFS Jukebox, which is actually the first medal I got in DoD, so that's neat. That project died shortly after, so there's no other versions of the song, and I didn't really feel compelled to make another one because I think it sounds great as is.
And another note on that actually is another reason not to do a new version of it is that was the last song I ever recorded with my first bass before I got my new one that I'm still using now. So the quality on the bass is kind of shitty, but I think it actually suits the song really well. That whole like tape it's like steady quality I think actually adds a lot to the song.
What was your first bass?
That's a fun fact. I think if you know the other songs that Zach has played on, you kind of immediately tell that there's a difference.
Yeah, the bass Sonic was a Ibanez GSR 200. It's like a $200 bass. First, parents got it for me when I was like 17.
Very nice, very nice. And what bass do you play now?
Now is an Ibanez EHB 1505 MS, because Ibanez have great naming.
Yeah. I fucking love those Ibanez
I got
names.
that. Yeah, so that track was, I just looked up the timeline while it was playing because I was curious. That track was from February of 2022, and I got the bass that month, and the very next, that March, we played a new song, and I was using the new bass, so that was the last thing that I played with that old bass.
There's a comment by Uran asking me to give him a shout out in Portuguese. Meu português tá meio quebrado porque eu não falo português faz muito tempo já. Eu morei no Brasil por 5 anos, mais ou menos, mas eu não he falado português há muito tempo, mas... obrigado pelo ficar aqui no stream para escutar o álbum. Aprecio muito o apoio.
Excellent. I love it.
See.
I also want to shout out the wonderful John Newman, who is also is actually playing piano on the Metro track, which is actually kind of weird because if you know Numa Joe at all, he's kind of like the sax guy. And I think that track he did with me is like one of 2 or 3 mains he has done where he's not playing sax. And I think he kind of excels. He's actually playing piano and Rhodes improvisations, which are honestly kind of incredible. They're some of the best solo features I had in an arrangement in Duels. And I also want to just shout him out because I think he's one of the best collaborators I've had and one of the people I've collabed with the most.
He's pretty good. He's done a few things in his day.
You could say that.
Yep. I could and I did. All right. We've got our next block of songs. We're going to have 3 songs in a row. Is there anything that you want to add before we start the next few tracks, or shall we?
Yeah, I'm just going to say if you come from DoD, you might know some of the songs, but starting from the 4th one, you might not have heard of these next 2 tracks. They're a little bit of I guess deeper cuts in my catalog.
Deeper catalog cuts.
Yeah. Kind of convoluted, but it makes sense.
I like it. All right. So keep it right here because this is Prime Cuts.
No, Marima!
Buktis, emin ba teprada, bak nanad, waktis, ba.
Alright. This is TheManPF's Prime Cuts. You just heard... Oh god, I don't have enough space on my screen.
You have to say the entire title. I expect you to do it.
You just heard the invincible, fearless, sensual, mysterious, enchanting, vigorous, diligent, overwhelming, gorgeous, passionate, terrifying, beautiful, powerful Celtic warrior Zan, featuring Zach Chapman and Ian Martin. Equinox, featuring Zach Chapman and La Danza Macabra del Tren de los Muertos. How did I do? Let me give it.
I get a kick out of making people pronounce my title. I love that.
Let me give it another go. La Danza Macabra del Tren de los Muertos.
That's perfect. That's great.
TheManPF featuring Zach Chapman, Ian Martin, and Daniel Romberger I'm Evil Sonic. Clowns to the left of me. We've got the TheManPF. Has everyone been watching Zach's backgrounds? I've been having a great time. I've been loving it.
Yeah.
Both now and when it was when we've been doing our tech checks.
I was doing it during the tech check just to have fun, and PF told me I should be messing with him during the stream, so here we are.
Absolutely.
Zach, you... I know this is the man's night, but I want to give a special shout out to Zach because he does... I know he's an excellent collaborator. I always get a little twinge of jealousy when the man uses Zach for bass instead of me, because I do love playing bass. But I also know that, and this was especially true last month with some of my collaborators, one of the things that's great about Zach as a bassist is his quick turnaround time. And I'm not great at that. And that I have been told by a few of my collaborators that maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if I got some bass and rhythm tracks out a little sooner to help get things going. So Zach Chapman is a bassist to aspire to, a role model for all those 4-stringers, 5-stringers out there.
Yeah, I think this album specifically, I forget it was 5 or 6 tracks that I needed to either record for the first time or re-record bass for overhauling a track like the Prince Out one or It's Resolve, but he sent me 5 or 6 of them and I got them all done in one afternoon, which felt pretty good.
God damn you.
Yeah, that's one of the things I appreciate it a lot, but also that's because I'm not great at it either. I actually feel a little bad whenever Zach wants to collab with me on a track and he asks me to record guitar and I take like a million years, because he does not do that. I sent him 5 tracks and he has all 5 recorded in the day. I don't know anybody else who does.
He's our special.
But you shouldn't feel
bassist.
too bad because you have to record like 3 different stems of guitar.
Yeah, but
I just have the one bass.
Yeah, and bass, you only play one note at a time. So if anything, like Zach, you're kind of slacking.
Yeah, you're kind of right. I should just stop playing bass and replace them all with guitar.
And that began Zach's Irish low whistle career. So, I know you gave a little bit of a shout out ahead of the last few tracks. Is there anything you want to talk about in depth about those 3 we just heard?
Okay, so I don't know what order to go in, but let's go with
La Danza
Macabra del Tren de los Muertos. It was a song that I made for Pixel Mixers. Yeah, I know. I did it for Pixel Mixers for the album of, I think it was The Tale of the Little Ones Volume 3, which is a compilation of indie game music covers. And I decided to do a Cuphead track, which is kind of weird because when I look at DoD or Pixel Mixers or even like OC Remix, there are no Cuphead covers. And I don't understand what the fuck is up with that. I'm not even a jazz guy or a big guy at all, but I love the Cuphead soundtrack. And it's incredible to me that there are no or very little Cuphead covers. This was the first Cuphead cover I've done, and I wasn't like too excited about it the first time, but I reworked it a lot since then, and I'm really happy with how it sounds right now. I have Zach playing a bass solo on it, which is a bit unique because it's one of the few songs I've done that has a bass solo. I have Ian Martin rocking the keyboards in the entire thing. And there's also Daniel Romberger, he was at the time the only theremin player that I knew. And I got in touch with him because I needed a fucking theremin solo in close to the end of the song because it's what the song needed. It couldn't be anything else. Then we got Equinox, which is a song that I originally did for a live stream that I was invited to. And when I was invited to it, they say, "Oh, you're gonna be a guest on this," and I was like, "Sure, cool." And they said, "Oh, we're doing a cover of this song from Pokemon Omega Ruby." I was sure, that sounds great. And then 3 days before the stream, I realized that I actually had to do one as well. And so I kind of scrambled in pulling a quick cover of that specific song for that stream. So that's a little bit of a quick arrangement. That original was all solo. It's kind of like a short arrangement where I kind of showcase a little bit of my modest guitar skills. But in the end, I think it's a song that I really like how it turned out. So that's why I included it here. It's also because it's Pokemon. Who doesn't know Pokemon?
I've heard of Pokemon, yes.
It also has Zach playing on bass. We'll get to that. Now is commenting about the Insane Composite. I'll get to that because there's a song coming up later. And as for the last one, I'm actually a really big fan of Hollow Knight, and I love the game. I love its music, and I covered a little bit of it, but not as much as I'd like. And this is actually from a character that's called Soat. And Soat's theme is one of my favorite tracks from the game. So I was actually talking with Ian Martin in DM at the time. And I remember I was talking to him because I discovered that he actually was a singer in an indie game that I really like that's called Yoku's Island Express. And I was just DMing him, telling him, "Hey, I didn't know you sang on this. That's super cool." And just in that same conversation, I went like, "We should collab sometime." And then we just did that like immediately.
That's how it happens. Especially with Ian Martin.
Yeah, and Ian is playing 8 instruments in this song.
Do you say 80?
I very purposely 8.
You could have told me 80
I think
and
he
I would have
played
believed
80
it.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wrote that arrangement with the intent of showcasing his abilities. I literally asked him, "Hey, tell me all of the instruments you play. I'm just going to include all of the instruments that I can." And that's what came out of it.
And you'll get the other 72 pretty soon.
Probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. Cian is honestly just like a combination of the word Soad and Ian because I felt uncreative. And nowadays I just like to think of it as a combination of Zach and Ian because they're both collaborators on that song. Everything else, the title is really long, but you would understand it if you play Hollow Knight. If you played it, you will get it right away.
Alright.
If you haven't, you should play.
Do you like playing video games?
No.
Sometimes. It's a guilty pleasure.
I think video games are for nerds.
They are. I agree.
Alright. This is TheManPF's Prime Cuts. And stay right here for the next 3 songs. And then we're going to have one more after that, after break, but keep it right here. All right. You just heard Chronicles of Light and Dark from TheManPF featuring Zach Chapman. On the Shoulders of Giants, TheManPF featuring Zach Chapman and Nadina Laert. And Ribeye Rodeo by TheManPF featuring Insane Cup Posse. I'm Evil Sonic. This is TheManPF's album release of Prime Cuts. We've got TheManPF, we've got Zach Chapman. The man, Zach, tell me what's up.
I want to give a shout out to a few people in the chat. Obviously, there's a bunch of people from DoD and from the VGM community, so your support greatly appreciated. There's also a few people from outside of DoD, a few friends that have come to listen to the music and watch the stream, and also my mom and my dad and my sister who have come here to support. So big shout out to them. Love y'all. And okay, so Rebuy Rodeo is the only gold I got in DoD. It's the only first place I've ever gotten.
Yet.
It's honestly a little bit... Yeah. It's a bit weird because if I look at my catalog, it's not like the song that I'd expect to play so high. I'm still a little bit puzzled by it. Because for me, Rebuy Rodeo is a very straightforward arrangement. It's one of the most straightforward arrangements I've done. It's the second Cuphead song I've done. And the arrangement is pretty much just all of us playing the song as is. Instead, we're just doing our own solos instead of copying the ones from the original song. But other than that, it's just all of us playing our instruments like at the highest level. Or like the best we can. The Insane Cup Posse is a name that Ronin OPF came up with. And it includes all of the people that you can see on the screen right now. Plus... God damn it. Plus, Ronin OPF, Ian Martin, and Numa Joe.
God damn it, Zach.
Oh.
That's not someone in the Insane
I love that so much.
Posse.
Thankfully.
Well, yeah. I mentioned this in another stream, but to me, Insane Cup Posse is basically comprised of myself and the people that I've collabed with the most. These are all my closest friends and collaborators. They're all just playing our own instruments the best that we can. So it's just a fun little romp. Then we move on to On the Shoulders of Giants, which is an arrangement that we've done for the PlayStation 2 month. I think this one is a little different from everything else in the album because it's a song that's a lot slower. It goes a lot more into that symphonic metal kind of vibe, but also has a lot of folk. And this is one where I decided to collab with Nadina Laer. Is that correct pronunciation?
Exactly right.
They're a group of folk musicians that I've been doing VGM arrangements for Duels for a few years. And I get along with all of them so much, and they're all so talented at what they do that I was excited to just get them, the entire group, on a song. That was the first time I did an arrangement where I just invited a whole group. And it was, in terms of organizing and doing an arrangement with collaborators, it's one of the most fun I've done. And it's just fun to have so many people doing different things, but whenever I collab with someone, I like giving them a reason to be there. I don't want to invite someone to just play 3 notes and then fuck off. I need them to actually get some spotlight. And all of them are playing instruments that are, you can hear in the entirety of the song, they're all integral to the arrangement. And the choirs in the background, it's a song that doesn't work without one of the pieces. To me, that's very important.
And a bit of extra credit for you on that one, because you had to do a whole extra bit with the language on there, right?
Oh yeah, that the lyrics that you may not hear very well because they're mostly choir, they're mostly in the background, but they are written in runic language, which is it's a language exclusive to Eco, which is not Shadow of the Colossus, but it's a game that's very related to it. It's actually not that hard, it's just Japanese inverted with some vowels, some vowels taken out. So I just kind of wrote some lyrics, kind of experimented with it a little bit. It's not that great, but I think it works for the song. I actually just played the remake of Shadow of the Colossus, never played the original, but I liked it enough that those songs stuck with me and I kind of wanted to express them through a choir in the background. If you know me at all, you know that I like doing vocals a lot. And this is like, I think it's the second song in the album that actually has more focus on vocals. But they're still mostly choir. They're not gonna be like lead vocal. So for Prime Cuts, I'm focusing more on instrumentals with a bit of vocals here and there because I can't help myself. And then the other track is Chronicles of Light and Dark, which is a track that I arranged back in 2021. It's actually one of my oldest arrangements in here. And I did an arrangement actually for Game Groups, who was hosting what they call, I think, was Zelda Dungeon Quickfire Challenge, which basically asked a bunch of people to do a cover of any Zelda dungeon theme, and I think they gave like a week or something like that. And that was at a time where I was trying to be everywhere and trying to participate in everything I found. So when I found that, I asked a friend of mine that's a very big fan of Zelda, because I know very little from it. I asked him, what dungeon themes do you think would be cool to cover? And he sent me those two, and I couldn't decide for either of them, so I combined the two and created this, which is a combination of the light and dark dungeons. And that's pretty much the origin of it. There's not much to say. I think it's one of my less known songs. I don't think anyone for Dueling on Duels has heard it before.
Until today.
Yep.
I thought that was really cool, but I also like that story of they send two sources and you can't choose, so you just smash them up. That feels like
I do that a lot.
DoD. All right. It's almost 10 o'clock where I am, hence the yawn. But I am not sleeping on this next track.
I'm so sorry.
We've got one more. You're not losing me. God damn it. Now. Fucking shit. I can stay up another 5 hours. It's a Friday night. I can do what I want. I'm an adult. I don't have a bedtime. I'm Evil Sonic. We're listening to the TheManPF's Prime Cuts. Keep it right here, 'cause we are cutting. Cutting.
fortes rivales fueran, sabes cantando un ando pues esplendor crescit.
All right. You just heard It All Ends Here.
Me.
We just heard you. The Man PF featuring Zach Chapman and Dog Food for Bananas. It All Ends Here. That's a pretty great track to end an album on. Oh, shit. I turned the videos on, but I forgot to transition the scene. There we are. That's me. That's that man. That is Zach Chapman. That's a hell of an album. I just copied that. The Man PF's album, Prime Cuts, available on Bandcamp. I enjoyed it.
It is gonna be available on streaming platforms, just not yet because Sounddrop is taking its sweet time. But it will be there, except for this last track because of licensing issues. But all the other tracks will be on streaming.
I heard
Or you're
licensing
listening.
is just a big fancy word for losers and nerds who
Spoiling
want
fun.
money.
Exactly.
Bless you.
Thank you so
Bless
much.
you.
It was a prime sneeze.
But yeah, this Smash track is the most recent arrangement in this album. I made that last year during December along with this beautiful group of musicians called Dog Food for Bananas. Originally, I wanted to collab with Angry Polar Bear because he's a guy that I've seen in the community forever and who's an amazing performer and also an amazing person. But it felt like a crime that I'd never collabed with him before on a main.
Had you really not?
And when I was I have not. This was the first time.
Wow.
At least in my arrangement.
Okay, I was gonna say.
I collab with him on other people's arrangements. Yeah, but not on mine. And when I decided to do this song, I thought it would be really cool to get a violin. And then I thought, why don't I just get the whole group? And I arranged the whole thing just thinking of basically arranged the song for this group. Although it's like the song is not really in the style of Dr. Bananas, like it's not the style that they usually do. But like I said before, I try to have a song that actually makes sense for the people that play in it. They're gonna have their parts, and if they are not playing in it, the song doesn't work. And it's called It All Ends Here because it was the last song I did for DoD, and it was very intentional that it was gonna be the last main I would be doing for a while. But I also was thinking of making this album, and I thought it would be great to put this at the bottom. Actually, it's kind of intentional. It's also because it makes sense for the final destination. It's a bunch of double, triple, quadruple meaning.
Have you not done a main in a while? How did I not realize? Wait, so that was back in December. You haven't arranged anything since then?
I have not.
God damn it. No wonder life feels
I
empty.
participated a few months. I participated a few months in other people's tracks, but there were also at least 2 or 3 months where I have not done anything at all. And that's very intentional. I was trying to focus on this and maybe other projects. Maybe I'll come back some.
3DS month is right here, you know? Maybe that'll be fun.
I never played a DS game. I'm so sorry. I'm actually less of a gamer than I like.
I think we all are. I haven't played a DS or 3DS game.
Wake the last song just ended.
I mean, if it wasn't like 10, 11 p.m.
we could just
in
run
the
it
old
back.
time zone, we could just play everything again.
We could, but I would fall asleep at the computer and then it would just keep running and running.
Is that a bad thing?
I actually haven't played. I don't think I've played portable consoles like at all. At least I never owned one myself.
Not even like a Game Boy?
All of my gaming is on. No. Game Boy is for old people. I'm sorry. Game Boy is not from my time. You could say like a PlayStation Portable, but not even that.
I'm gonna die a little bit over here.
Do you not have a Switch?
I have a Switch.
Got all of my gaming on PC and PlayStation.
Have you ever
I'm very ignorant on portable gaming.
have you ever used a TI-83 graphing calculator that has Mario on it?
I wish.
I'm a firm believer that every single electronic device ever made could and should have Tetris on it at the very least. It's not a big stretch. History will show that I'm
I had
correct
to
on
think.
this.
I really don't think I played any handhelds at all. That's kind of insane.
The man, you know how I said I was going to get my thoughts together about what it's like to collaborate with you?
Have you?
No. I started, but I will wing it a little bit. There are 3 things I want to talk about, and I think if I structure it this way, I can say something that's not terrible. But there are 3 things that come up between me and you that I think about a lot of the time. The first is when you ask me to collaborate, which is always a treat. Not only because it's weird that anyone asks me to collaborate, but because you are, as thorough as you are, as thoughtful an arranger, that you put a ton of effort into your projects, and it's not just here's the sheet music, here's the MIDI, go for it, that you give very in-depth notes, that you put in the work, that you're thinking about what everyone is playing and what everyone's doing with their instruments, and that makes it an absolute treat and a pleasure. I also think about when I ask you to join one of my arrangements, which, when I look back, I'm kind of amazed that it took me as long as it did for me to ask you onto a main. I think the first main I asked you onto was the Turing test. Is that right? Am I forgetting something?
I think it was. I think you're right. I was thinking about Turing test as well. I think that was the first main, at least.
And on the one hand, that's just barely a year after you joined DoD, so, you know, maybe that doesn't seem like a very long time, but when I think about what you were up to in 2021 to 2022 and what I was up to in the same time, it does actually boggle my mind that I didn't have you on a main sooner. And I listen to that track so often, largely because of all that you contributed to it, because I think I was just like, hey, can you play some rhythm guitars and some lead guitars? And you did that, but you did so much more. And you did things that really brought the track to life in a way that was really special. And that arrangement, that whole concept, that track is very special to me. That's one of the ones that I put at the top of my list of personal music that I've made. And what you did on there and how you did it, really, I can't say enough good about it. And that's not the only time you've done that. So, god damn, if you haven't asked TheManPF to collaborate on a track with you, you're not just getting a guitarist who knows how to hit the notes. You're getting a lot more than that. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is that I trust you and consult with you as a friend, that in this time that we've been together in DoD, I feel like we've grown very close, and I trust your judgment. I think we're on the same page about a lot of things. It's one of the things that's been most exciting to me about you and I joining the ops team and getting more involved in the DoD management stuff when Catagen was still running stuff. And that's been its own kind of special. Like, just knowing that I have you in my corner, that I can trust you and talk to you about things when I'm like, hey, should we make a Bike Kid month? And you're like, you don't actually think that. Hackstock tried to do that. You're just coming up with something on the fly right now. But more seriously, that you get DoD and you're a good person, and those things are kind of huge. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna downplay it. But it's been a treat working with you and playing music with you and running DoD with you. And that's
thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, goddammit.
I think it was a great way.
I think it was a prime cut.
I really appreciate this community. You have no idea. It changed so much in my life for the better. And I don't want to take it for granted. I don't want to take anyone here for granted. You're all not only disgustingly talented music, you're also just amazing human beings. And that's amazing.
No, you.
Zach, the champion of the understatement. I love it. we have played our tracks. Our background music has come to its conclusion. Zach, do you have any last words?
And more appreciation for PF. He's, like people have been saying, he's had a legitimate impact on the community, at least from what I've seen. One of the nicest things about being able to collab with him so often too is how well he knows DoD. I will ask him if I need someone else for a track to collab with. I'll just ask him for recommendations, and he'll instantly have 5 different people for anything I could want, because he just knows the community backwards and forwards. The album is great, the music is great, he's great. Yeah.
The Man, do you have any last words you want to say about your album? Anything like
Wake is asking if I announced the sequel. I don't know if I talked about this with him, and I don't remember, or if he's making shit up. But I do have at least 3 albums planned after this. I have. That's all I'm gonna say for now.
Are we gonna get some subprime
This is
slices?
not the true ending. You're gonna get a little bit of everything. You know me.
That's true. We do know you. We love you. Prime Cuts. I just posted the link back in the chat. TheManPF.bandcamp.com/album/prime-cuts. Mid cuts next. Good one now. I've been Evil Sonic. This has been the Man PF, joined by Zach. Zach, were you on every track on the Prime Cuts album? I think you were.
I think so.
Yes.
It's super fitting that you've been here then.
Yeah, I was.
Not too bad. I was on 2 tracks, I think.
You were on.
You're on Ribeye Rodeo and Shoulders of Giants, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good track.
Yeah.
So I'm no Zach Chapman.
But you are Evil Sonic.
Presumably.
Probably.
Allegedly.
Circumstantially. All right, everybody. I don't quite know how to end this, so let's just say good night, good luck, keep cutting, because this is the Man PF.